I wanted to speak this morning about words, but in particular, spiritual words, because words are our attempt to pin something down, to be able to agree on this is a table, this is a table. Those are all beautiful and mildly to wonderfully successful attempts to know reality, to be able to segment reality in a way that's brilliant and knowledgeable. So I love words. You may have noticed. This word, the spiritual words in particular, have a particular charge because they are also an attempt to pin something down. And the very nature of spiritual inquiry or spiritual realization is it really won't be pinned down. The moment you pin it down, it's like, not this, but then not this either. So finally you just be quiet. That's what Papaji said to me. But there's one word that comes up often, and it beautifully came up yesterday as the young man was sharing with us what his practice was. Very elegant, streamlined, simple practice. And it was beautiful. And I shared with him, but you don't need to do anything for that. So we hear the word practice, and it means a lot of different things to different people. But in this context, it means if I do this, if I practice it like the violin or the piano or good manners or right thinking, then I will succeed. I will get somewhere. I will move from this wretched creature that I am to this beautiful enlightened creature that I hope I am or can be or may be. So I've spent a lot of time in different meetings talking about practice, and I could say I have a meditative practice. It's very simple, but it's not to get me anywhere. It's like cleansing, like brushing my teeth, I think I said yesterday. So I support that. And Ramana talks about practice, and he talks about no need for practice. Papaji said, stop is your practice. So really, the way I hear that is stop practicing what you practice every day. What is your practice? First of all, that's really good. Well, you could say, well, 30 minutes morning and night, I meditate. But what happens the rest of the time? Because that's what you're practicing. That's what you're practicing to survive. Or you're practicing to get ahead. Or you're practicing to find a mate. Or you're practicing so that you'll be a well-rounded, wonderful person. But we are doing things in hopes that they will give us what we want. That's why I really pose the question, what do you finally want? What if you either get or you don't get the perfect mate, or you get or you don't get extraordinary experiences, or you get or you don't get right livelihood, or all the things that naturally as human beings we want. If you don't get them, what's left? And if you do get them, what is it you really think they will give you? For some people, it's just acceptance, or someone to love me, or someone I can love. And that is, in its simple way, fine, no problem. But in the complication that we do in the way we live our lives, it's a big problem. Because most of our attention then is put on our practices. And then we go to sleep at night. If we're lucky and we get a good night's sleep, we're in bliss and we wake up refreshed and we start our practice again. pushing the rock up the mountain. So I know Papaji said to me, stop, and I've passed that on to you. Just stop. And I know that that becomes a practice. And stop that. It's not stop and always stop and never go. It's for an instant. Be willing to not move toward anything, away from anything, against anything. To actually just be open. Because closing takes some energy, it takes stopping. To just be open to yourself for 12 seconds. Not as a practice, but as a revelation. Then you have a choice. You can recognize, and it can be a hard choice at times, because these practices create grooves in our psyche, in our brain. And so they just seem like, I'm not practicing anything. I just brush my teeth because that's what I do. But you are practicing something, and it's a good practice. Please don't stop that practice. It's an intelligent practice, and we learn intelligent practices, and we apply that to our spiritual life. And it doesn't apply. I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who, about Vajrayana and different empowerments of practice, and I spent some years doing that and really going to lots of retreats with Tibetan lamas and hearing them chant in Tibetan, and then we would chant in Sanskrit, and really visualizing the different deities, because that's the practice of Vajrayana. You visualize the deity entering your body, and then you are Chenrezi, or you are Tara, the green Buddha. The green Dara, I think it is, the medicine Buddha. Yeah, it gets like that, you know. And there are great experiences that come out of that. One thing, it gets you, for a moment, you're not identified as this little creature. For a moment, you are the embodiment of the best. But then, you know, you get off your cushion, the chanting stops, everybody puts up their books, and what's waiting for you is your practice. So you practice for a moment to escape your practice. I'm not interested in giving you another practice on top of that, and many of you have very sophisticated practices, useful or not useful. Addictions are actually support. Really, I'm inviting you, and as Papaji invited me, and as I find in Ramana's words, to just take a moment, and we don't even need to use the word self-inquiry. Just be still. Just recognize what the tendency in the next moment is, what the sentence that arises, what the fear or the anxiety or the anger or whatever arises, just to be aware of it and don't touch it. It's so simple, it can't be said. Like even what I just said, that could be totally misunderstood. Please don't ever quote me. Really. It can just be made into a little thing. I get it. So you can't get it. That's really it. You can't get it. And you can stop trying. And if you stop trying, it's not like you begin your old practices and you devolve back into that creature before you started a spiritual life. You have an opportunity to recognize the space that has not changed. The truth that has always been here. is not really generated or covered by any practice, even your worst habits or even your best, holiest practices. Spaciousness, it is life. And you have that moment, yes, Eddie knows this moment. And you have that moment to recognize, I am that. Somebody mentioned Nisargadatta's book, I Am That. It's a profound book, but when people were reading it some years ago, it was like, whoa, he is that, he is that. Same thing that happened with Christ. He and his Father are one. He and his Father are one. It's like, wait a minute, what was being said here? I and my Father are one. I am the space. I am the particulars that appear in the space. I am the space between the particulars. I am life. Is this clear? Then forget about it. It's gone in, it was clear, it served its purpose. Many teachers don't teach, don't speak, because anything that's said is already being misinterpreted as it's heard, being put into some slot where it can be used when it's needed. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to write it down. You do have to hear it because it's calling your name. And you want to know when your name is called. And Ramana spoke about vichara, which is self-inquiry. And basically he said, you know, how can practice reveal the love that you are? That's the truth of existence. Self-inquiry can. But when we make self-inquiry a practice, we're one step distant from it. It's my practice. It's my method. And so self-inquiry, to be really what it is, needs to be fresh and alive. I know there are people who just walk around like a mantra, who am I, who am I, who am I? But that's not what the intention is for self-inquiry. It's really stopping for a moment and really inquiring. Just I. Where are the boundaries? What's the reality? We know what comes and goes. We know the show, the drama, the ups and downs, the victories, the defeats. What is here regardless of everything? That's really self-inquiry. And a lot of people who studied Ramana and some of his disciples did make that a practice. It becomes a practice. Who am I? Who am I? Who's having this conversation? Who's thinking this? Who's doing this? Who cares? And that can work, you know, for a moment, but very soon it becomes stale. And it's like, why am I not getting it from my practice? I had a taste in that one moment. It's because it's not in your practice. It's who you are. And since it's who you are, you have full capacity to recognize yourself immediately and forever. All that's required is you give up your identity as something separate from the self. And your identity is maintained by practice. The narrative, the rehashings, the hurts, the slights, the victories, just over and over and over. The fixing it, the being victimized by it, the conquering it, all of it over and over. And all of that is legitimate because it's here. It's part of what it means to be in the human experience, but it's not the final truth. And you're here for the final truth. And since it's final truth, it's always been here. And that's what you're here, not about fixing yourself, not about getting rid of your habits, although surely some habits need to be gotten rid of, especially the internal torture habit or the external torture habit. But just to stop and recognize. Then it takes care of itself. You don't have to direct it. You don't have to own it. You don't have to follow it. You don't have to expose it. Let it lead your life. Then the mind, which is what we call me, is a servant to that. It may need some training, as good servants need training often, because it's used to leading the whole show. And it's not leading. Following this. And it's quite happy, really, in bliss to follow. The suffering is when it's trying to lead, when it's determined what should be, or should have been, or will be. Simple, that's the challenge. And it is the ultimate challenge in its simplicity.